What's up, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video. Today we have a story of an incredibly spoiled brat who ends up knocking out his teacher for the worst reason ever. I mean, there's never really a good reason to knock out your teacher in class, but this was just the goofiest thing ever. I know you'll enjoy this story as it's a pretty crazy spoiled kid story. So yeah, sit back, relax, and let's get right into it. And of course, leave a like for your very own free nothing. So we're going to call the subscriber who submitted this story Teddy. And we're also going to call the kid in Teddy's class who is the spoiled brat. We're just going to call him a spoiled kid or a spoiled brat. Whenever I give him a name, it always gets kind of complicated. So anyways, this kid in Teddy's class was just known as the spoiled kid. He was just known as the kid who was just very entitled. I mean, his parents had a lot of money. He was always given everything like that. But he just embodied being super entitled. He just embodied being super spoiled because he was super spoiled and he was super entitled. And this all started one day when there was a new girl in class. So this girl, anyways, this is 7th grade, so they've been going to the same school with the same people forever. But whenever someone new moves into the neighborhood, they obviously join the high school. And so there's a new girl who moved in over the summer, and we're just going to call her Kate, because that's the name I use for basically everyone at this point, or any girl at this point. So yeah, Kate's the new girl. She comes in, and immediately, spoiled kid, who has zero charisma, or riz, as you guys might call it, has zero charisma, right, has zero play, has zero riz. He immediately decides that he's the one to make the move. So anyways, it's like the first day of class, and Kate's the new girl in the class, and it's a little tough when you're the new kid in class because everyone else is talking to each other, everyone else knows each other, and you're kind of just chilling there, you're kind of just sitting there, kind of just twiddling your thumbs or whatever, not really sure what to do. But anyways, immediately, within I don't know, as soon as class began, the spoiled kid went over and sat right next to her, which she had no problem with because, I don't know, when I'm new and someone makes a move to be friends with me, I'm very happy with that, you know? And she probably just thought that I don't know, he's being nice because he knows that I'm new. Anyways, spoiled kid sits down and says, "Hey, what's up? My name's Spoiled Kid. Nice to meet me." She kind of just looks at him like, bro. And Teddy's watching the whole thing go down. Oh, yeah, by the way, we're calling subscriber Teddy. I don't know if I said that or not. So Teddy's watching this whole thing go down. And he's just chilling with his boys. And he's just thinking to himself, oh, no. Bro is at it again. Bro is at it again, being a menace to society and being a menace to this new girl. Poor Kate, bro. So the spoiled kid sat down. He's like, "Yeah, what's good? Nice to meet me. I'd be super happy to meet me too." And she's like, He's like, "Yeah, so I just wanted to know if you wanted to go in a car ride with me on this Friday." It was a Monday, so he's talking about the upcoming Friday, implying do you want to basically go on a date with me? He's like, "Yeah, my car is pretty cool. I bet it's a little nicer than any car you've driven in, so it would be a really cool experience. It's a great opportunity for you. Yeah." And Kate's just kind of sitting there very awkwardly. This is an in real life try not to cringe challenge, and she was about to lose real hard. So she's like, I don't know. I might be doing something with my parents this weekend, so it's a very nice offer. He's like, "Okay. What about next weekend? Are you free next weekend?" And she's like, maybe. I mean, I don't really know, but I can get back to you." He's like, "That's not gonna cut it, actually. I'm gonna have to know right now because I have a lot of women who want to be in the car with me." Which, when Teddy heard this, he kind of rolled his eyes because he knew for a fact that the line of women, he's saying that, the spoiled kid's saying that there's a line of women going out the door to, be on a date with him. When in reality, the line was 0 people long. It did not exist. There is no line out the door to be dating the spoiled kid. Nobody wanted to do that, bro. He has no charisma. He's got no risk. He's got no game. He's got no nothing. He's got no play. Nothing, bro. Nada. Not a single speck of that, right? So Teddy's kind of just rolling his eyes "Oh, okay. Whatever, spoiled kid. Nice try, but she's not going to fall for it." So anyways, class begins, and, spoiled kid can't be talking throughout all of class without getting kicked out by the teacher, right? But, one would believe that. But the spoiled kid is, whispering, while the teacher's talking or whatever. He's like, "Hey, what's up, Kate?
Like, I just want to say, you looked really good in your dress today.
The teacher's like, sorry, spoiled kid, could you not talk during class, please? He's like, all right, sorry, teacher.
Hey, Kate,
He just, like, kept whispering, like, really loud. Like, you know when people whisper, but instead of going like this, they're like, hey, I'm just whispering right now. I'm like, dude, shut up. You're so loud. Just because you kind of make your voice hoarse or something, like make it kind of rough sounding, doesn't mean you're whispering, bro. You're basically whisper yelling at me. So yeah, the spoiled kid was basically whisper yelling at Kate the entire time, being like,
yeah, it's just some really nice shoes you got on right now.
and the teacher's like, spoiled kid, can you please shut the fuck? No, I was kidding. He's like, spoiled kid's like, he's like, hey, can you please not interrupt class? This is the second time asking you. The third time I will ask you to step outside. Spoiled kid's like, yeah, okay. Mumbles under his breath, whatever, dude. At this point, Teddy's just watching the most failed Riz attempt on planet Earth. This is a 0 out of 10 Riz attempt. It's time to just retreat. Mission failed, we'll get him next time type moment. This is not going well for the spoiled kid, which is great and all. But the spoiled kid had a lot of confidence that maybe wasn't deserved. And by maybe wasn't deserved, I mean most definitely wasn't deserved. And this story is basically a saga of the spoiled kid versus the teacher, and this is the first arc of the story, as you will see very soon. This is basically episode 1 of Spoiled Kid versus the teacher. So the spoiled kid is trying to continue to talk to Kate, right? He's like,
so, Kate, have you gotten any updates on next Friday?
and remember, he like just asked her like 20 minutes ago, and she says, I don't know. I don't know if I'll be around next Friday, but I'll get back to you. Dude, like, how is she supposed to know at this point? She's literally been sitting in class next to you for the last 20 minutes. She's not been on her phone. She's not been home. She's not talked to anyone. Like, literally no time has passed at all. He's like,
hey, Kate, I was wondering if Friday was free again.
like, of course it's not free, bro. You just asked. Chill out. And she kind of looks at him and shakes her head like, no, I don't know. And the teacher kind of notices the spoiled kid speak again, but I think the teacher wanted the spoiled kid, gave like the spoiled kid a unspoken like extra pass for that one. But obviously if you heard him speak again, it's time to get out of there, right? So the teacher's like speaking, talking about something, and at some point the teacher's like, oh, I'm so sorry, guys. I forgot to introduce our new student. I mean, I guess they were all new 7th graders, but, you know, Kate was the only new girl in the class who wasn't there last year. So the teacher thought it would be a good idea to introduce her in front of everyone. So the teacher's like, all right, Kate, not to put too much of a spotlight on you. I know this is kind of stressful, new to you, but if you could stand up and introduce yourself to the class. She's like, hey guys, like, my name's Kate. Like, I'm new here. I just moved here. I like, I don't know, going on hikes. She just says stuff, right? And the spoiled kid speaks up. He's like,
and she's gonna go on a date with me this Friday, or next Friday, in my really cool car.
And Kate just turns bright red because, one, that's just not what anyone said. Actually, that's what the spoiled kid said. That is not what she agreed to or had any idea was like the deal or whatever. And also, second of all, I think she realized pretty quickly that being associated with the spoiled kid was not really a great way to make a first impression of people. Like, if people, like, you know, guilty by association, like, if you associate with someone or something that's not good, then you're just going to become not good by association to that thing or person. Yeah, I think she realized pretty quickly that being associated with the spoiled kid was just going to be a really bad call because, yeah, just like the way he acted for the last 30 minutes kind of gave her the idea that, yeah, that's not what's good, right? So everyone goes dead silent. It's not like they were talking before, but, you know, there's kind of like a lively silence and a very awkward dead silence. It went from like a normal silence to like pure silence as everyone's just like, what did this kid just say?
Spoiled kid's like, yeah, you guys not hear me? Yeah, she's going on a date with me this and next Friday. My really cool car. Yeah.
And, you know, Kate's like, well, I don't know if I agree to that.
And he's like, she totally wants to, guys, as you can tell.
And the teacher clearly was not looking very happy. But he once again didn't say anything because he just kind of like bit his tongue or whatever. He's like, whatever. So she sits down and he goes back to teaching. And the spoiled kid leans over. He's like,
Hey, Kate. I just wanted, like, to make sure, like, next Friday still works with you, as you said it would.
And Kate's starting to get a little bit annoyed. She's like, I don't remember saying that it was okay. Like, that I never remember saying that I wanted to go on a date with you next Friday. I don't remember saying that.
He's like, what?
But in this time, the spoiled kid doesn't even start. He doesn't even whisper anymore. Just straight up is like,
What? But I thought you said you wanted to go on a date.
and the teacher turns around and is like, spoiled kid. And they kind of have a showdown. They're staring at each other. They're having a showdown. And the teacher's like, spoiled kid, I give you 2 warnings and let a lot of other things slip. But this is your 3rd strike. Stand outside. Spoiled kid's like,
but I was...
because, like, I think the spoiled kid was, like, upset because, like, he was rizzing, whatever you want to call it, Kate, right? Which is just not the case. He was failing, bro. I don't know how else to say it. But he was like,
But you can't do that, teacher. No, I'm just not going to do it.
Teacher's like, spoiled kid, I will give you a 0 on today's participation if you don't step outside right now. And the thing is, in that class, participation was like 50% of the grade. So even getting a 0 even on one day, which doesn't sound that bad, actually has a bit of an impact. And the spoiled kid's like,
well, I'm still staying here.
And the teacher's like, you will get a 0 on this month's participation, which basically meant the kid was going to get a C or below. And eventually spoiled kid stood up and is like, very upset. This was the beginning of a long saga of spoiled kid versus the teacher. Oh yeah. Anyways, moving on to the second arc of spoiled kid versus the teacher. There's a big test in this class. And so this is like 2 weeks after the Kate incident, right? Which is the very beginning of school. Actually, no, this is like a month after because it's the test, of course. So the test, like the first kind of test or whatever, happens about a month into school. The spoiled kid and the teacher in this time period have had a few mini spats with each other. But the first big thing was the Kate one, and the second big thing that led up to the final explosion, aka him knocking out his teacher, which we'll get to, it's pretty crazy. But the second thing that led up to that, the first thing being the Kate one, but the second thing is as follows. So they had a really massive test about a month into school. And, or like, I guess a test. All tests are kind of massive. You know, if you only have a couple and they count for a lot of your grade. Anyways, though, so the spoiled kid is just not paying attention in class the whole time. He's like talking to this guy like in the back of the class. They're playing like, I don't know, cool math game, slither.io, like those kind of, those kind of like computer games, you just like the quick ones, not like a full intensive, like he's going to hop into a Call of Duty lobby or to start playing like, I don't know, Minecraft or something in class, like some of the Minecraft kids in the previous stories have done. No, he's not that crazy. He's not that out there. But he is playing like those kind of discrete games that you just play in class. Like I've definitely done that a few times. But you know for a fact, if there's a massive test that I'm preparing for, or there's something massive that like I actually got to pay attention in class, you know for a fact that I'm not going to be playing one of those little distraction games in class. But sure enough, the spoiled kid was doing so. Which at the end of the day, I in my personal opinion, I think it's his, like, he can do what he wants, but he also has to realize that he will suffer the consequences for not paying attention in class, right? So sure enough, he does not pay any attention when the teacher is doing review. Like the teacher's legitimately doing just review for the test at this point. So yeah, it eventually comes to the day of the test, and the spoiled kid sits down. And he sits down next to, Teddy, actually. Remember, the subscriber who submitted the story. You can submit your own stories to my Instagram or Twitter. Just follow me there and then DM me your story. So he sits down next to Teddy. And Teddy is aware that the spoiled kid has not been in class for, like, the entire week. Or he has been in class, but he's been mentally somewhere else, right? And Teddy kind of sits down next to him, and Teddy's totally prepared. He's going to kill it or at least do all right. Like, if Teddy messes up big time and freezes and screws up everything, worst comes to worst, he might get a B. Like, he's going to kill it either way. And he sits down next to the spoiled kid. And the spoiled kid is, like, very clearly looking over at Teddy's paper. And Teddy, like, looks back at him. And they make eye contact. Like, the spoiled kid is looking down at Teddy's paper, looks up at Teddy, and Teddy's just staring him down. The spoiled kid's like, oops. So, yeah, Teddy kind of, like, moves his elbow so that it makes it very, very difficult, if not impossible, for the spoiled kid to read his answers. And the spoiled kid's like, oh, crap. So yeah, the spoiled kid goes on to not really be able to answer any of the questions correctly. Yeah, the spoiled kid just kind of like fumbles around. He's like,
Well, maybe if I do... Wait, if this is multiple choice, can I just select all the answers and get partial credit? Damn it. Yeah.
Right, so the spoiled kid just does not do well on this test. And eventually he has to hand it in because he's the last one in class scribbling it down. And the teacher picks it up. And yeah, 3 days later, the teacher has all the tests graded. And the teacher's walking around the class. And the teacher's handing back these tests to all the students, right? So he hands them back to Teddy and his friends or whatever. And eventually gets over to the spoiled kid. And then when the spoiled kid gets it, he's like,
Crap, dude.
and sure enough, right,
Spoiled kid's like, raises his hand. And he's like, Mr. Teacher. Mr. Teacher.
and the teacher turns around and is like, oh, yes.
He's like, Sue, could you come over here for a second? I just have a question on number 3.
And the teacher's like, oh, okay, whatever. Teacher walks over to Teddy. And, not Teddy, sorry, the spoiled kid, who is sitting not next to Teddy, but close enough that Teddy can overhear what's happening. And so the teacher comes over to the spoiled kid. The spoiled kid's like,
Hey, Mr. Teacher. So, I'm not really that happy with the grade I got on the test. Could you help me out? Maybe bump me up 20 or so points?
and Teddy, when he overheard this, is just like, hey, yo, bro, what? You want to bump you up 20 points? Huh? You think he just like pulls these grades out of his butt or something? You think he just like random number generates these grades? Like, bro, they're attached to something. What are you talking about? So yeah, the teacher's like, no. I mean, spoiled kid really thought like, oh, I could just pull this off. And that's when the spoiled kid says, well,
I guess I thought you'd say that, so maybe this will help you reconsider.
spoiled kid reaches into his pocket, pulls out his wallet, opens it up, and takes out a $20 bill and starts waving it around. It's like,
Teacher, this will be in your desk by the end of the day if you promise that you will change my grade to a 100%.
not even bumping it up, just round it up to a 100%. And the teacher's looking at him with this blank face and is like, really? You're going to bribe me for a $20 bill? You know, if someone found this out, I could lose my entire job. I could lose my entire profession for $20.
And spoiled kid's like, yeah, it's like a whole $20. I mean, you're a teacher, so what do you get paid? Like $25 a year or something?
The teacher's like, no.
And spoiled kid's like, what?
Well, it's still a really good deal, and I would totally take it if I was you. And the teacher's like, no. First of all, I'm not going to risk my job for $20. Second of all, on the principle of the matter, no, I'm not going to do that. That's ridiculous. You're being ridiculous. And the spoiled kid's like,
What?
I think the spoiled kid like was totally fine failing the test, or wasn't totally fine, but like kind of thought that like his plan B, which was bribing the teacher, was so like, oh, he got that in the bag, bro. Like he doesn't have to worry at all. But yeah, no, he does need to worry because the teacher failed him on the test and didn't take the bribe. At this point, the spoiled kid really does not like the teacher. He has major beef with the teacher. And all the next day, not the next day, but a couple days later, on that day, on what feels like a normal day, is about to be one of the craziest days in Teddy's school history. It's about to be the craziest day by far that Teddy's ever had at school. Because on that day is when the spoiled kid legitimately knocks out the teacher, dude. Yeah, not even kidding. Real quick, if you made it this far into the video, you see I'm doing it a little later on. I normally do it like 10 minutes in. Now we're doing it like 20 minutes in. If you made it this far into the video, comment spoiled down below. That'll be the secret-ish word of the day. They're never that hard to guess, but it'll be the word of the day. Please comment them down below. I'll try and heart as many as I possibly can. And also, this video will be on Spotify too, as well as my future stories. In fact, you can kind of listen to them, some of them, an hour or two before they go up on Spotify. Also, follow the TikTok down below. I'll be posting my shorts on there, help out the channel. And finally, the best way to support the channel is to, one, finish this video all the way through, and then after you're done with that, go ahead and watch some more of my older videos. A really easy way to do that is to go watch older videos from my Storytime playlist, which will be linked in the pinned comment down below. Please comment down below if you are watching my old videos or binge watching the videos, as it really supports the channel, and I will try and heart your comment and say thank you for doing such. Anyways, let's get to the point where this kid knocks out his teacher, bro. This is why you all came here. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? No, I didn't think so. So this all started in what felt like a normal day. After all this has gone on, obviously. And the spoiled kid was late for class. And I know in like college and in some high schools, but specifically in college, you can get away with being late for class, especially if it's a lecture class where like the teacher doesn't even really know who you are and they don't take attendance. You can even just like not show up for every day except the exams and you'd be fine. But in most high schools and middle schools, and at least in my high school and middle school, attendance was a really big deal, and you would get really penalized for being late or being, I don't know, for just not attending enough or whatever. And that was true for this middle school as well. So the spoiled kid was late. And this wasn't the first period of the day, because then he could say, oh, I got in late, therefore I am late, sorry about that. But instead, he just, this was like middle of the day. He just did not feel like showing up to the class because he didn't like the teacher so much. So the spoiled kid came in very salty. Like when the spoiled kid opened the door, he didn't simply open the door. He slammed that door open, bro. He got that whap. He just got the door. Boom. Door is slammed open. So he already was pretty clearly not having the greatest day ever, which that happens to all of us, man. We've all been there. Life happens like that sometimes. It is what it is. But yeah, sure enough, the spoiled kid comes in, boom, slams the door open, which, bro, if I'm late to class, I'm opening that door as quietly as possible. I'm not trying to make a disturbance. I'm not trying to run in. That reminds me, one time my freshman year, someone was late and the teacher was doing a presentation, and instead of just coming in quietly and sitting down, guy opens up the door, says, "I'm so sorry, I'm late." And everyone turns, the teacher turns, everyone's looking at him. The flow of the presentation is completely interrupted. Like, bro really played himself trying to be more nice about it, but whatever, right? So he slams the door open. I bet the spoiled kid just got rejected by some girl or something. So he was not in a good mood. And he already didn't like this teacher that much. And the thing is also, the spoiled kid must have I don't know why, but instead of having his backpack on his back, he was holding the very top of the backpack, it has a little handle. He was holding it on the handle. And his backpack was full of books. So it was very heavy, right? This is important for just a second later. The teacher, instead of just ignoring it, which maybe the teacher in retrospect should have just ignored this. But yeah, the teacher doesn't end up just ignoring it. And, the teacher is turns, he's like, spoiled kid, you know what I feel about attendance and being late to class. I'm going to have to write this up and send this to the front office. And the spoiled kid must have had other demerits or whatever, because I think if you were late enough, you eventually had to do you either weren't allowed to have a free period or you had to spend your free period helping out, I don't know, in the kitchen or something. Or, I don't know, for some reason there was some kind of punishment. It wasn't like you're getting expelled for being late to class, but it was still something. It was definitely something big enough and annoying enough that the spoiled kid didn't want to deal with it. So the spoiled kid does something absolutely crazy. I guess he just wasn't having a good day, because the spoiled kid is he's like, I'm going to give you one chance. I'm going to give you one chance to take that back. And teacher's like, no. They just, what? Bro, what are you saying? The spoiled kid's like, fine, then you've sealed your own destiny. And the spoiled kid, I guess, was close enough to the teacher. He takes a backpack, he swings it behind him, and just full force, going a very powerful swing and just letting momentum run, just whips the backpack around in the air, and just boom, clean collision with the teacher's head, boom. And the thing is, there was enough heavy textbooks in there, and while this kid wasn't some big bodybuilder football guy, he swung it around, and momentum, plus just how heavy the backpack was enough that when it made collision with the teacher's head, bum, out cold. Teacher literally falls back and collapses on the floor. The entire class goes dead silent. And the spoiled kid kind of realizes that he just messed up big. And he's like, oh my God, guys, my backpack just slipped out of my hands. How did that happen? no, everyone in the class, including Teddy, very clearly saw him just whack the teacher in the head with a backpack and knock him out cold. The teacher comes to in the next 30 seconds. He wasn't out for like forever, right? And the teacher's like grasping onto his head. He's like, "Ja, what just happened?" And some kids are running up to the teacher. These two kids kind of stand between the teacher and the spoiled kid, and kind of just like, hey, like kind of just like to make sure that he didn't attack him again, even though it was pretty clear I don't think the spoiled kid was going to do that or anything like that again. And, you know, the teacher's like starting to get his memory back. He's like, "Wait a minute. Did that kid?" And he points at the spoiled kid. And the spoiled kid has the backpack in his hand. It's very clear that he's looking super guilty. And the teacher's like, "Give me my phone." So when the kid reaches over, gets his phone, the teacher calls up the security. He's like, "I need you to come down to the class right now." So sure enough, a couple minutes later, teacher's still sitting on the floor. Two security guards come in and say, "What happened?" And yeah, the teacher says, "Yeah, see that kid right there?" Points to the spoiled kid. "He just hit me over the head with his backpack and knocked me out cold for like 30 seconds or something." So immediately the two security guards go up to the spoiled kid. And the spoiled kid's like,
Guys, it slipped out of my hand. It wasn't my fault.
and just like literally grab his backpack and then grab him basically and are pushing him out into the hallway. He's like,
Guys, no. It slipped out of my hand. It wasn't my fault.
and so yeah, all the kids were just kind of sitting there, and the teacher's like, "Oh God, I should really get this checked up." Teacher says, "All right, guys, I did have a lesson plan today, but I should really just go to the health center, get this checked up, maybe get some aspirin. My head is not feeling great. Maybe get a concussion test. I don't even know at this point. Anyways, yeah, class is canceled today. Go about your business, whatever you're gonna do, and yeah." So yeah, the spoiled kid was suspended for an entire week. He was also forced to sit in the back of the class, and it was very awkward for the rest of that year. And yeah, that is the saga of the spoiled kid versus
Click on the video on
teacher.
screen right now. I know you'll enjoy it. Just click it, do it.